The question is, if we reincarnate and our DNA holds our blueprint, that is the culmination of everything that we have always been in the form of information in our DNA from life to life, then why does our DNA not match when tested to the person we once were? Now I realize that that question, it's very few people who know who they once were. And if they knew who they once were, they are not able to, they know it without having a direct lineage of where that person would be to follow a family line. But it did come up recently where one person had believed that he was a certain person. He had dreams of this family and traced it back and found the family and had his DNA tested. And his DNA did not match the person that he thought he was. And as you can imagine, that left him very confused because he had these very real memories of a life before. And there have been many people documented to have had these memories and gone back and actually were able to find the families and find out that many of the stories that they remember were true, down to names, birth dates, death dates. However, this one particular person had the DNA tested and found that it was not a link. So I would just like to ask Euclytus to just talk about that, to find out any information that might make that experience make sense. So I'm going to chime the gong and do my deep breathing to go into a meditation, and the voice that you hear directly after the chime will be that of Euclytus. The human DNA is very complex in its manifestations from body to body. It is indeed a blueprint that follows the soul wherever it may go. And indeed, one must know the being that they were in order to trace the being that they are. And this is incomplete. This is a process that is not required of the human species to know the individual past and persons that they once were in order to evolve. And this is why the DNA carries all of the information to be used for the usefulness of the current life. The body is a new issue in each reincarnation of a soul. The body comes equipped with its own new blueprint. That individuality is like a stamp of no other kind. And that stamp is what we call DNA. The DNA comes with the new body. The information is fed into the new DNA in the form of light. We have discussed before that light is information. Light is all-knowing. The body is a vehicle. The DNA comes with the body to make that very apparent and decisive. There's no question. It is the filtration of the light into the DNA of the new body that issues forth the information into the new soul. Consciousness does not require DNA. An omniscient being does not require a body or DNA to facilitate what it knows. It is a part of the human body that allows the tools of information to be facilitated from one life to the next. It is distinctly for the human body. All beings that live, including animals, maintain DNA. Your species evolves, is self-aware, is here indeed to evolve, to awaken consciousness. So it is most present, most facilitated, of the utmost importance to the human family, although other species evolve and indeed carry their DNA from one incarnation to another. Your species' goal is to evolve. And this requires a very specific facilitation of light infiltration into the DNA that each new body comes equipped with. So testing the DNA is irrelevant. Even when one believes they know who they were, it is an irrelevant practice to begin that process, as each vehicle comes with a new stamp of individuality. Although the light and its infiltration may be very old and may carry with it the life experiences of said person. DNA will not reveal as such. And one must not seek to prove an omniscient truth of knowing with physical tests, seeking proof of what is. What is simply is what is. One knows, and that must be enough. If one must seek to prove a thing, one must ask why they seek to prove the thing. There is an underlying current that does not lie in spiritual truths. It is manifesting a search for a truth in the spiritual plane. It is seeking a truth. I may correct on the physical plane. One is desirous of understanding a spiritual knowingness on the physical plane, using physical means to prove a spiritual truth, if that makes sense to you. It isn't a necessary process. One must know the truth of their own existence, and that is enough. The need for proof stems in the personality perhaps ego, perhaps an insecurity to understand they matter. Proof is not needed to understand that all matter. All life recycles. All indeed live a plan, a purpose one has given to themselves. One may rush back in existence because the previous existence was hollow of its purpose, and no time on this plane will be wasted in reissuing life force energy back to complete its course. This is a school. One is learning. Mistakes, unknowingness in the youngness of a soul is natural on this plane. Regrets, I find to be pointless. All life experience is to live, to enjoy, to make mistakes, to learn, to move on, to grow, to enlighten, to reach the highest state of conscious knowing of the self, and to release oneself back into source energy for many consciousnesses, many awakenings into the spirit of unlimitedness. The DNA is simply a filtration into a new body. I believe I have answered this question.